This is the Kawasaki KLX 230 that is made in India, and it costs rupees 1,15,000 lesser than the KLX 230 CBU, which is my favorite dual purpose motorcycle in that segment. Now this motorcycle is being able to sell at rupees 1.84 lakh simply because it is 95% made in India. Earlier, when looking at the pictures and going through the spec sheet, we thought both motorcycles were largely the same. But the key word here is that both motorcycles are similar, because after riding this motorcycle today, we are here to tell you that there are some noticeable differences. After riding both motorcycles extensively, I sat down and put together a list of what exactly is same and what is different between this bike and the CBU model. But then memorizing it was becoming too difficult, so I've written it down and I'm going to wrap it out for you. Please see if you can keep up. The steel frames are the same, swing arm is the same, tires are the same, wheels are same, wheelbase, seat height, weight are the same, the bodywork is different, lights are different, no pedal discs on this one, handlebar is different, no cover on the exhaust, no smartphone connectivity. This has slightly longer trail, 20 mm less travel at the front, almost 30 mm less travel at the rear. The rear suspension is stiffer to accommodate a pillion, 10 mm lower ground clearance, bigger disc at the front, bigger disc at the rear, but no pedal disc this time. And it has slightly more power and torque. But how does that make this motorcycle different? A lot of motorcycle journalists and reviewers will tell you that the suspension is the biggest change in this motorcycle, but not a lot of people are going to tell you that there is a noticeable difference in the engine as well. If you go onto the website, you will notice that between this bike and the CBU, all the numbers are largely the same: displacement, bow, stroke, and all of that. But there is a significant detail that is different in this motorcycle, which is the exhaust port on the CBU motorcycle is on the left side, which is on the other side of the frame there. And from there, the exhaust is routed in a very long but beautiful way, coming down like that. In this one, the exhaust routing is smaller. Maybe it's because of that, maybe they've done something else with the engine, but this one makes a little bit more power and torque and has slightly stronger delivery. But the compromise is that there is a noticeable difference in refinement between this one and the CBU. In my opinion, the CBU runs a little bit quieter and a little bit smoother. But if you want out-and-out power delivery, then this one is a little better. Now don't get me wrong, that slight increase in power and torque has not converted this into a performance machine, but then it has made a noticeable difference. But the biggest change is definitely the suspension. One thing that we all loved about the KLX 230 CBU was that it could take anything that you put in its way. I could go down this way, that way, or straight up the mountain and not worry about the motorcycle not keeping up. That was never in question. But of course, when a skilled rider pushed that motorcycle also, it would bottom out and would say, please, that's the limit for me. You must upgrade yourself to a better motorcycle. And that is when a rider realizes that, yes, I have enough skill to move on to the next machine. Now the difference with this KLX motorcycle is that since this has a little less suspension travel, and because it has slightly stiffer suspension at the rear, the characteristic has changed significantly. The slightly stiffer suspension at the rear means that it does not move around as freely as the previous motorcycle, but then that motorcycle used to move around a lot if you go fast, and that's one thing I really liked about it. But in that way, yes, this offers a little bit more stability when you're riding fast, but the problem is that the front suspension does not match that same level of damping. So this is a bit too soft, that's slightly stiffer, and so that means that even for a beginner, you are more likely to find the limits of the front suspension before you even explore the full potential of the rear. In the braking department, Kawasaki has said, keep the same Nissan componentry, keep the same stuff, we will give you a bigger disc, we're just not going to give you pedal discs, and that theoretically should have made this motorcycle brake a lot better. But in my opinion, the CBU brakes are much better. They have better feel, better bite, and just more fun to use. On that motorcycle, I was able to pull stoppies on demand, but that kind of urgency, that kind of sharpness is lacking in this one. Based on everything that I just told you, if you have the impression that this KLX made in India bike is not as good as the KLX 230, well, yes, that is what I wanted to convey. But then you should also understand that this is not a bad motorcycle. When compared to that one, if that one is excellent, then this is good, but it is still a very good motorcycle, especially if you are a beginner who wants to explore off-road riding, because the key thing here is that this motorcycle is still a lightweight. It weighs just 139 kilograms, has just enough power and torque to keep it exciting. And the suspension's limits, that is not going to be found by a beginner very quickly. And if you do find it, that is a very convincing sign for you to move up to something like the Enduro R spec or the Himalayan or something even bigger maybe. But until that happens, which I would reckon would take at least a year or two, this is an exciting motorcycle to live with, and we don't see any problems or any big red flags where we would say, no, ignore this one, save up the money and buy the other one. But that said, if you do have the kind of money to spend on a motorcycle like the CBU KLX, then yes, go ahead and do that, because of course it is a better motorcycle. As I said previously, this is good, that one is excellent. But this is just what India needed at just the right time, and we feel that it will open the doors to many more motorcycles to come. That said, we give this one an MAT rating of a solid 9 out of 10. This is Joshua Varghese signing off for the MAT.